Apartment 210 looked like any other place, quiet, ordinary, and unremarkable. It sat in a calm residential complex where neighbors exchanged polite nods and light followed a predictable rhythm. But behind the closed door of this apartment, a chilling story was about to unfold. This is the story of Jasmine Pace, a young woman whose life ended in a way no one could have imagined. Jasmine was known as kind, soft-spoken, and trusting. Friends described her as someone who believed in people easily, sometimes too easily. She had dreams, plans, and a future she was slowly building. At the time, she was living in apartment 210 with her boyfriend, a man she believed she could rely on. From the outside, the relationship appeared normal, no loud fights, no obvious warning signs, but behind closed doors, tensions were growing. Small arguments became frequent. Friends later recalled that Jasmine had seemed distant in her final weeks, as if something was troubling her deeply. Still, no one suspected danger. Apartment 210 remained silent, hiding what was to come. One night, everything changed. According to investigators, a heated argument broke out inside the apartment. Words turned sharp, emotions spiraled out of control, and in a moment that would change everything, violence erupted. Jasmine never walked out of apartment 210 alive. What happened next was even more disturbing. Instead of calling for help, the person responsible made a choice to cover up the crime rather than face the consequences. Apartment 210 was no longer just a home. It became a crime scene carefully concealed. For hours, then days, the truth remained hidden. Jasmine was reported missing, and concern began to grow. Friends tried calling her phone. Messages went unanswered. Something was wrong, but no one yet knew just how dark. The truth was, this was only the beginning of a horrifying cover-up that would shock investigators and haunt everyone who learned the details. As the search for Jasmine intensified, her boyfriend appeared calm, almost too calm. He told friends and family that Jasmine had left on her own, claiming she needed space. But small details didn't add up. Jasmine had left behind personal belongings she would never abandon. Her silence was unnatural. Behind the scenes, investigators began examining digital evidence. Phone records, messages, and location data slowly painted a disturbing picture. Jasmine's phone activity suddenly stopped right around the time neighbors reported hearing unusual noises from apartment 210. The suspect attempted to erase his tracks. He cleaned the apartment, disposed of evidence, and tried to create a false timeline. But technology doesn't forget easily. Surveillance cameras captured movements that contradicted his story. Text messages revealed rising tension before Jasmine vanished. One critical detail changed the direction of the case. A suspicious trip made shortly after Jasmine was last seen. GPS data showed routes that led investigators to remote locations. What they found there confirmed their worst fears. Jasmine had been murdered. As police confronted the suspect, cracks began to form. His story shifted. Details changed. Lies piled on top of lies. The calm mask he had worn started to slip. Investigators now knew this wasn't just a disappearance. It was a calculated attempt to escape justice. Apartment 210 was searched thoroughly. Hidden traces of evidence remained despite cleaning efforts. Forensic teams uncovered signs of a violent struggle, confirming that Jasmine's final moments were filled with fear and betrayal. The case gained public attention. Media outlets reported on the shocking details, and the community demanded answers. How could something so horrific happen in such a quiet place? The truth was closing in, and there was no escape left. Eventually, the evidence became impossible to deny. Faced with overwhelming proof, the suspect was arrested and charged with Jasmine Pace's murder. Apartment 210, once an ordinary living space, became permanently tied to a crime that would never be forgotten. In court, prosecutors laid out the full story: the argument, the murder, and the desperate attempt to cover it all up. Jasmine's family sat through every painful detail, reliving their loss again and again. Justice, when it came, did not bring her back, but it did bring accountability. Jasmine was remembered not for how she died, but for how she lived. Friends spoke of her kindness, her laughter, and her dreams. Her story became a warning about the dangers that can hide behind familiar faces and closed doors. This case also highlighted the power of digital evidence. Phones, cameras, and data played a crucial role in uncovering the truth. In a world where people can lie, technology often tells the real story. The pin at apartment 210 is more than a true crime case. It's a reminder to listen when someone feels unsafe. A reminder that violence can exist even in the most ordinary places. And a reminder that justice, though sometimes delayed, will find its way. Apartment 210 stands silent now, but the story of Jasmine Pace continues to speak loudly and painfully long after the door was finally opened.